Yo, what's good, my people? Welcome back to the SillyMMA channel, and today we're going to be looking at what the UFC need to do after UFC 315. We'll be discussing matchmaking, decisions, overall takeouts from the card. So before we get into the video, please leave a like, subscribe, it really helps the channel. Go check out some more recent videos, some very good videos I've dropped recently. Anyway, let's get into it. The first thing is go to Perth and do a pay-per-view. I mean, it's perfect. The last two events, we've had two Australian champions, both from Perth, gaining gold or regaining gold in Volk's case. It's the perfect time. You know, Australian fighters, there's quite a decent batch of Australian and New Zealand guys in the UFC right now. And I've done a little main card builder here. So you look, JDM versus Islam. This is a no-brainer at this point. Shavkat's injured. You know, this is the fight to make. I mean, we've all come to the conclusion we wanted to see Ilya versus Islam. But we've come to the conclusion we faced. This is probably what we're going to see next. Co-main event, Volkanovski versus Evloev. I don't want to hear any talks. You guys even saying like Jean Sullivan nowadays. They just really be saying anything to stop Evloev getting a shot. Evloev deserves it. The UFC tried to give him Aaron Pico. I mean, the UFC are really trying to keep him far from a title. But the UFC is the best, fight the best. Volkanovski is supposedly the best in the division. Evloev proved that he is one of the best in the division. It's time to test him, man. Get them to fight each other. Then look, Steve Erzik versus Kaz Kura. I mean, Steve Erzik nearly beat Pantoja, arguably beat Pantoja. You know, he's lost 2 fights since then. He's on a 3-fight skid. Give him Kaz Kura, he lost against Pantoja, but we don't really know how good he is. He's not fought in the UFC except from the champion. That's a fun matchup. Kaz Kura a chance in the top 10, and Steve Erzik a favourable matchup to bounce back, probably. And look, Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker, New Zealand, got a big win in Australia last time out. He was booked to fight Gaethje. I think this is a fight that is going to happen. I think Arman versus Hooker is the perfect matchmaking right now. I think Arman should be fighting Ilya for the interim belt or the vacant belt, whatever it may be. I don't know why Oliveira is getting an opportunity, to be honest, but you know, hype. The UFC trying to punish Arman after he pulled out against Islam with the back injury, but this is the fight to make sense. And then also, I mean, it's a stacked main card. We can allow to have one shitty fight. Tai Tuivasa versus Thomas Peterson. Put that on the main card. Tuivasa returns. I don't know if he's gonna make 216 pounds. He looks like a fat boy right now. That's all I'm saying. And then also get some of these fun Australian prospects on. Jonathan Makhachev had an excellent performance against Kevin Doucette on his debut with some big body kicks. Thank you, Joe Rogan, for mentioning that about 500 times. Jimmy Crute, one of the better Australian guys out there. Tom Nolan, also one of the better guys, especially in the lightweight division. Jack Jenkins, I think this guy's name is like Kyle Sorkaus or something. And then of course Jay Matthews. Just get some of these guys on the prelims. A few other bums in there, you know, stack up the prelim a bit. Maybe a little Cejudo versus Harvey in there as well. Just add a little normal fight and get these Australian guys going. It's the perfect time to go to Perth, you know. And the UFC cannot bottle this. I think they're going in September. Hopefully JDM will be ready by then. I mean, Islam's inactive, but if they are going in September, which is, I don't know if it's confirmed, but it's what I'm hearing. Hell yeah, get this card done, man. And I think that's a little card builder there. Next thing, please stop woman MMA on main cards. People pay money for this shit. We don't want to see Valentino, like, the title fights we can deal with. Like, that's a maximum, you know? Title fights as the co-main. And even these, to be honest, should be on fight nights. We've seen it with, like, Andrade versus Lemos, I think it was, way back. Why do you not keep it like that, man? They're always boring. Like, the really good woman MMA fights, which is like 1 in 10 fights, comes on the prelims, you know, like Judah Vicious versus Andrade, and these random guys that are getting knockouts like Gideon Robertson and all these, man, these all come on the prelims. And if it's not on the prelims, it's main card, but on a fight night at least. Pay-per-view, we had 2 of them. 2 of the last 4 fights were female fights. They're boring. Natalia Silva beat Grasso fair and square. It was a great performance, but it was a boring fight. Grasso didn't even try. She looked like a fish out of water. And Shevchenko versus Fiorot, it was a close fight. It was a rubbish fight as well. It was boring. Shevchenko just doing some gay feints. Fiorot just trying to fight up against the cage, looking flat most of the fight. It just devastates cards. And put it on the prelims. We saw it with 314 with Jan Jaranan and Linda Janaruba. It was fine. That card was great. And you know, that fight was boring, but no one cared because it was on the prelims. It wasn't interrupting a good main card. And that's like, the UFC have a really bad habit, man. It's just, no one cares if they want to fill out bad cards. They want to say, oh my god, we got 2 title fights in this card. We got, hey guys, we got 2 title fights. Bro, You don't have 2 title fights. You have 1 title fight and some random ladies fighting for a plastic toy. That's what it feels like, you know. And especially Shevchenko, Zhang Weili is the only like decent fighter at the top of. She's the only decent fighter at the top of the female division in terms of entertainment. And even she hasn't got a finishing in ages. Like, when was the last time she got a finish in a WMMA title fight? It feels like 10 years. It's more, all these fights are boring. They just put them on the prelims, man. These contender fights at least. And these title fights, whack them on fight nights, man. No one cares. Now we're going to get onto the matchmaking, the fights to make. First fight, obviously, JDM versus Islam Makhachev. JDM's defending. He called out Islam on the mic, stoically cold. Islam said he wants to move up. You know, this guy was preying on his brother Belal's downfall. Man was like definitely making, like, saying inshallah he's going to lose. You know, but that's the fight to make. I mean, it's not Islam versus Topuria, but it's a very, very good fight. I'm not sure who wins that. We're going to have to see closer to the time. Belal versus Shavkat. I think this is the next fight. I mean, you could do Belal versus Usman if Usman beats Buckley. But I think Shavkat, this is a sport that waits for no one, man. And he got the shot. I mean, he beat Wonderboy Thompson. He got the shot. He got injured. I mean, it wasn't his fault, Belal put out the first time, to be honest. I mean, and then he stepped up to fight Gary. He didn't have to do that. I don't think he deserves to fight for the belt. And no, but he does deserve to fight for the belt. Oh, but Islam's moving up and he fucked it up. And Brady's in there as well. I just think do Belal versus Shavkat. It was booked for 310. Now do it without a belt on the line. 5-round co-main event, or just you don't even do 5 rounds for this fight, innit? It's 5 rounds for this, and then onto the females. I make it quick. I don't really care. Valentina Shevchenko versus Natalia Silva. I mean, it's obvious Silva beat Grasso. Shevchenko's still a champ. Wow, let's go. And oh my god, look, actually no, to be fair, this one is exciting. Jasmine Judah Vicious. It's one of the only WMMA fighters that goes for it, man. That tries to finish it. She has the capability to finish. She's got a really fun jiu-jitsu style, and Manan for her out. This would be an excellent matchup to get her right at the top of the division, #1 contender fight. And then for Alexa Grasso, give her the loser of Blanchfield versus Macy Barber. She doesn't need the winner, she needs the loser, because, you know, Grasso's, she looked awful last night. She looked rubbish. And then Ayman Zahabi versus Henry Cejudo. I think Zahabi is taking on that role as being the guy that fights the legends. And I think Cejudo, looking to get back in there after not controversial, but like a disappointing loss, you know. It should have been a no contest if Cejudo had a brain cell and wasn't just trying to fuck it out and look tough. But this is the matchup, man. Zahabi was I think it was the wrong decision, but it wasn't a robbery. Even though in that, like, off my hot head in the breakdown video, I said it was a robbery. But I don't think it was a robbery, but it was a robbery. And I'm just overriding myself here. But, you know, it's a fun matchup. Zahabi looked great. Shows he had the grit, just marauding forward, getting in Cejudo's face. And Cejudo, you know, he's not got much left. I think Zahabi's built the name that is worthy of fighting these legends of the sport. You know, I don't want to call Cejudo a legend because he's a bit of a knobhead. But, you know, and this fight, Saint Denis versus Alvarez, I was thinking Saint Denis versus Michael Chandler. That would just be violence, but it doesn't really make sense. But I think just rebuild this one. Joel Alvarez needs to get in the rankings. I think Saint Denis got really lucky he wasn't facing Joel Alvarez, because he had no defense against Prepolek and he looked impressive. But when you take into context, some bomb on short notice, that was fighting some random guy on the regional scene, and now he's fighting one of like the most menacing fighters outside the top 15, or just sitting on the top 15 in the lightweight division. I think book this fight. I heard Joel Alvarez might be moving up to welterweight. Don't know how true that is, but as long as he's staying it down at 155, it's the fight to make. And then for Mike Mallet, we got the Mike Mallet versus the winner of Luque versus Holland. I think he's reminded everyone that he is good. He's not just going to go nowhere after losing to Magny in the style that he did in Canada. Give him the winner of Luque versus Holland, who'll be around 14th, 15th, 13th ranked in the division. I think that's a fun fight. I think Luque and Holland will be in. Maybe Luque not as much, but he looked good against Temba Garumba. I think Holland takes this one against Luque. And I think Mallet versus Holland will be a great fight. Put on a co-main of a fight night of a shitty Apex. You can't Ken Holland in the Apex. What the fuck am I talking about? Put it on like a UFC like Abu Dhabi co-main event. I don't know, maybe a featured fight on the main card. And then Modestas Bukauskas giving the winner of Umar Sy and Alonzo Menafield. They'll be baseline rank. Bukauskas is on a win streak. I don't think he won against Kutalaba, but it wasn't a brutal robbery to the point where he deserves to be punished. He should still fight up. Give him the winner of Sy Menafield. And then for Ian Kutalaba, he's been done dirty here because he won that fight, to be honest, man. But give him Navajo Sterling. I think Sterling will struggle against Kutalaba because he's a guy that likes to be patient against Tuko Tokos. He had him hurt in the 3rd round, but he was slow the fight. Same with Ivo Islam. Slow the fight, you know. Very close rounds with Ivo Islam and had him hurt in the 1st round. Kutalab is not going to let that happen. He's going to walk forward. He's going to move to Sterling and force him to get into a bit of a dogfight, which Sterling hasn't done yet in the UFC. And for Bezkat Almakhan, give him Javid Basharat. I'm sorry, Javid Basharat. I don't know what he did to deserve this. Especially after getting flatlined by fucking Ricky Simon of all people at UFC Seattle. But I think this fight makes sense. Get him close to the rankings. Maybe another fight after Basharat and give him top 12, top 13 opponent for Bezkat Almakhan. And then Daniel Santos versus Nate Landwehr. I think if he stays at featherweight, this is the fight to make. I'm not sure if Santos deserves this yet, but sorry, this would be a banger, man. This would be such a good scrap. Daniel Santos versus Nate Landwehr, man. This would be a proper good scrap. And that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. I think this is the things the UFC need to do. Go to Perth, do the pay-per-view JDM Islam main fought versus everywhere co-main. Get some Australian guys, New Zealand guys on there. Stop putting women MMA on the main cards. Maybe title fights, co-main occasionally. Put them on Fight Night main events and put these contender fights on the fucking prelims and the fights to make. I've listed them all there. The key ones: Belal Shavkat, JDM Islam, Zahabi Cejudo. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like and subscribe. Shout out SillyMMA.